Today on KWAT, I'm talking with Carter Howell. He is the Southern Vice President for the National FFA organization. And Carter, we're at the 96th South Dakota State FFA Convention. How in the world did you wind up in South Dakota?
So I actually ended up in South Dakota because my high school ag teacher, his son, was a animal science professor, was on faculty at South Dakota State for a couple of years, and they still live just north of town in White, South Dakota. So summer of 2020 would have been COVID summer. I came up and stayed in South Dakota and knew I wanted to leave Florida for school, but wanted to go somewhere where I at least knew somebody for my mom's sake, really. So ended up here in South Dakota, and then through my role this year, I took a year off of school, but it's good to be back in South Dakota for a convention. One of the conventions I was really looking forward to getting to travel to this year.
Sure. Now, of course, you mentioned you grew up in Florida. Did you grow up in an agriculture background, or how did you get involved with the FFA?
So I didn't directly grow up in agriculture. Some extended family and friends farm back home, but it wasn't my family directly involved. So I really didn't get involved until I joined FFA in 6th grade, and then really took off from there. Went to a high school, continued to be involved in FFA, and that's led me to where I am today. So was not involved, but now my sister and I, through my supervised agricultural experience, we have our own cow-calf herd. So was not born and raised in it, but I've certainly gotten involved now.
Now, of course, the theme of your speech today was everything happens for a reason, and it seems like, hearing your story, that definitely embodies that whole thing. Tell us a little bit about how that applies to your life.
Yeah, I think it's something that, like I said in my speech, my mom's told me my whole life, everything happens for a reason. And, it's one of those things that really sounds cliche, but I think if one thing is to become true to me is it's only a cliche because it's so true, right? And I think, in my story and everything that has gotten me to the point where I am, and specifically talking about my late ag teacher, all those things are connected and everything happens for a reason. You don't always know why it's happening in the moment, but I think it all starts to unravel and make sense to you. So definitely has rung true for me, and couldn't be more grateful and thankful for where I am today.
So, of course, as we all know, FFA, blue and gold, and now Jackrabbit's also blue and gold. So what are you studying up here at South Dakota State, and how does that apply to agriculture?
Yeah, so I'm currently a junior, or will be a junior when I re-enroll in school after my term is done, and I study agriculture business. And then after that, going into a career in agriculture, and will continue to be involved with my cattle operation with my sister. So sticking with that, and then my ultimate goal is to be employed in the agribusiness sector.
So, of course, serving as the Southern Region Vice President for the last year, what's it been like meeting FFA members from not only Florida, not only South Dakota, but around the nation?
Yeah, it's a really neat experience where we get to travel not only across the United States, but internationally as well. We had a trip to Japan where we have a sister organization, Future Farmers of Japan. So just the opportunity to meet FFA members in their home, in their community, where they're from, be able to see what agriculture looks like in their state, and the opportunities they have is really special because we can get together at the National Convention in Indianapolis. That's a great time, but to be able to meet members in their home communities and their home states is really something special too.
So what piece of advice would you give a FFA member, or even maybe a middle school or high school student that's thinking about joining the FFA or wants to be a leader in FFA?
I would say just take every opportunity you have, jump into it. Things can be scary, and taking that first step is always the hardest step. Everything after there is smooth and downhill. So just take advantage of the opportunities you have. And one thing that I've learned from my parents growing up is you never want to look back and say, what could have been if I would have done something differently? So take the opportunities that you have, take the chances that you have, and get involved. The worst that can happen is you figure out it's not for you, and hopefully we can find another place for you to have that experience, for you to grow as a leader.
And Carter Howell, the 2023-2024 Southern Vice President for the National FFA organization at the 96th South Dakota State FFA Convention in Brookings.